This is an interesting thing to talk about, Jake, but like what companies in 2026 made the biggest leap from the year before? I think Callaway has, and Cobra would be the two that took
I was gonna
that.
say it's Callaway and Cobra, yeah, like
Callaway and Cobra took like the biggest like, and do you know what I could say? PXG drivers went from like yeah to like oh geez, like they
yeah,
made
I
a
mean,
big leap.
PhD drivers went from, like, they don't need to be in a fitting conversation to not a bad idea to put it in a fitting
You got to hit
conversation,
it.
like
Hello, Little Judge, episode 326
wow.
of a fully equipped podcast here. We are on the cusp on the cusp of sunshine. We had a 65-degree day here in Toronto, and I believe Jake, you had a nice piece over there in Chicago.
Yeah, we had pretty much the same weather. I got home at, about 1 PM today, and it was nice to not have to drive in 30-degree weather with clouds. It was sunny and beautiful, and I had my windows down the entire drive home, so that was great.
That's a big deal. This your T-shirt can no longer be ignored. Is that potentially fully equipped merch?
I mean, it might be. It could be. Something we're thinking
Dare we
about.
call that a prototype? Did we call that a prototype?
We could call it a prototype. Yeah, we could call it a prototype. Yeah. People have been asking. We're trying to appease the masses. I think
Well,
I do think what we need to do though is we need to acknowledge drop culture for a couple releases. Like, let's see if all these people in the comments are actually going to buy something. Because I appreciate the verbal support on the internet, but we got to figure out what'll actually happen if things are available. I will say, I'm not gonna say what or from whom, but there is one thing that I know for a fact that if we get it to the finish line, everybody will want, and it will sell out in my over under for that is 45 seconds, and I'm taking the under, I think.
now that is an activation that we were potentially doing with another outlet, not another outlet, but
Yes,
a
it's a
thing.
collab.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
co there you go, as the kids
correct.
say. I would like my T-shirt to say "No shaft questions" because that's can we can we do it?
Me
Can we
too.
do
Can we
something
both get
here?
one of those? Yeah,
Actually,
like, oh
let's
my
do this.
gosh.
Interesting is so I want to paraphrase. I want to phrase this properly. So my AMA is on Friday. I get on a normal night 200 questions, 250 questions. You can only answer 100, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I get to, and literally it's movie night with my kids. So I'm literally, while I'm watching the movie with my kids, is when I sit there and try to rapid fire these questions. So like, I don't get into like, I wish I could do it like Brath, where he's putting up different images for every, like, I can't do that in my life. Neither can he. He's got kids, but he just finds the time like a normal person to do it, like when he's not
Yeah.
with his kids. So this, I've never had so much. Is vitriol? Not vitriol is not the word. Like I had 2 or 3 DMs and people like, "Dude, your ego's gotten the best of you." Like, your answers, like, why do you even do AMAs if you're gonna answer people that way?" And I'm sitting there going, "Okay." And I literally for the first time went back through all my questions, and I said, like, kinda like you did, because we were on this hot one this whole week. I'm like, "No shaft questions," because I'm trying to spin people off of taking advice from schmucks like us on what shaft they should use and just go get fit. Like, that's been the overarching
That's always the answer.
messaging.
Yes.
It's always the answer. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, I
Yes.
don't know. I know what the shafts, the marketing around it's supposed to do, but as it relates to you, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So I had some guy, and I'm not gonna call him out. I'm not that guy, but he was like, "Dude, nope, done, unfollow. Like, your ego's gotten the best of you." He said, he basically said that you need to humble yourself, and I'm like, "What did that? What? Like, of
Yeah, like,
course I
what did
need
I
to humble
do?
myself. Like, of course. Like, if you know me, of course. Like, I have an ego. I have all those things. But I'm like, what what did I say in my AMA when people ask shaft questions? Some guy goes, is there a hook friendly shaft?" And I just said no. Like, whenever there'd be a shaft question, I would just say no. I'm not answering that question. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm fully aware that people it's a benefit to ask, to be able to answer people's questions, that people care enough about what we have to say that they're going to submit questions. I totally get that. The other thing is like you got to put these AMAs into context. Sometimes it's your buddies asking questions to troll you. Like if you say like Anthony Taranto, for example, literally said like, "Will Ventus TR and Triple Diamond help me fade it? Like, this combo make me fade it?" My other buddy's like, "If I take X100s and I fade X100s, can I draw the?" So I was answering some of those too. Um, but for the people that got bothered by my, I think short answers in AMA. I'm not trying to be short. Like I'm just trying to answer as many questions as I can before I hit 100.
Yeah, you're trying to go rapid,
I'm
yeah.
trying to fire them out. And on the off night that I pick a category and say, we're going to talk about 1999, what's in the bags, then I can go in deep because I get like 30 questions because nobody knows what the fuck those bags are. Like nobody's that weird, right? Anyway, I had to get that out. Um, what do you got? Like, you've been on the
Dude,
go.
I
I
did
want to hear. Oh,
yeah, like,
go
I
ahead.
did the same thing, though, with mine. I was like, AMA, but shaft questions, and the first 6 ones I got were shaft questions, and I'm like, but one person, like, asked, like, a genuine question, and I DM'd that person, and I was like, "Hey, I'm still not gonna answer this on the thing because people will think it's okay, but, like, you actually asked, like, an intelligent shaft question, not just a, 'Hey, I'm a person who you've never seen swing in your life, but I wanna choose between this shaft and this shaft. Which one do you think?'" I'm like, "I can't." They would be irresponsible to answer that question. That's the thing. Like,
Well,
that's where
you'd
I
have
get
to
hung
make up.
up. It's
You're
like,
making up an answer. You'd have to make up an
yeah,
answer. Like I don't like.
yeah.
Like
Or people are like, "If I do blah, 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 should I get this one or this one if I wanna hit it higher?" And I'm like, "Well, I hit TR black higher than I hit TR red. So, there is no black and white in this world." Like, that right there is the only statement that you need to be like, "No, I can't effectively and responsibly answer this question because it would just be." And then because those same people would go buy the thing that you totally guessed at and then be mad at you in 3 months when they spend $350 on something that sucks. And I don't
right.
wanna be I'd rather be the guy that didn't answer the question than the guy that gets yelled at for the purchase, you know? Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I used to get some of
So
that when I was
yeah.
at Callaway, to your point, like, and I gotta say, like, it's a and even for myself, like, like, if I think for some consumers, Jake, I think a lot of people wanna ask you shaft questions because you know them at a granular level, right? But
I do get it, yeah.
yeah, I get the optics of asking you specifically, like, and even like Knudsen was like that too. Knudsen's a shaft guy, right? He really knows a lot about it. He studies them and he hits them and he tests them. Like, there's a couple of you out there that are like, if I'm gonna turn, if I don't know anything about a shaft, which I know about the big ones, but some of the more nuanced, exotics, and I'll say, Jake, like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't, and you'll go, well, it's this, this, and this, and I was like, okay, I learned something today.
Yeah.
So like I get it, and I'm not, it's not to and I swear to God, we'll get into something actually meaningful here in a second, but it's not to be a dick or whatever. I'm honestly trying to answer everybody's questions, and I'm honestly pretty good about if somebody DMs me directly, I usually try to get back to them and say, "Hey, this is what I think." Like, and I think Jake, I think you do the same thing. So, long story longer, keep asking your questions. If I say don't ask this question in the big platform, feel free to fire me one off in a DM, and 90% chance I'll answer it. And
Yeah.
if I can't answer it, I'll say I don't fucking know. I don't know. Um, so
So I do have a shaft that we could talk about, actually, ironically. It's a shaft that you and I have been confused by. Uh, Project X Titan, because
oh my god.
I just don't I really like, I'm gonna talk to Don about it for sure. I'm gonna talk to a couple of guys that are like, a part of the prototyping team there in San Diego because I really do wanna figure out whether I have just completely placeboed myself into a shaft that I really, really like, and the thing is, I haven't hit it in the Quantum Head yet. I only hit it in the Cobra Head, and it was amazing. Like, you saw the numbers. I mean, those are the first balls that I've carried over 300 on foresight with reasonable spin, like, not with dumb spin, in a bit, and, like, I was getting back up to, like, high 160 ball speeds. Like, I was a happy guy that day, and I was hitting real balls. Like, there wasn't anything funny going on. I wasn't getting bad readings. It was outside. Like, I was in every variable that could possibly be applicable to actual real true data coming out.
Right.
And like, but there's just, I mean, that can't be the way that I have to build that shaft, or it is, but I just need to know the answer. For those, sorry, I didn't even say it. For those of you that are listening, watching, so the Titan is a really interesting profile. If you look at the EI curve of it, it starts it starts really soft for a very short amount of time, and then it has this gigantic bump, which is where it gets really, 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 really stiff. That section is supposed to be the transition between the handle and the midsection. Hey everyone, it's Jake here with just a small break to shout out a sponsor of the pod this week, Golf Travelers, our friends at Open Links Golf, the team that's actually behind the golf.com course finder tool, have launched something pretty big. It's called Birdie, an AI-powered golf trip planner that builds your perfect US golf trip in just minutes. No more spreadsheets, no more group text or endless emails with your buddies and the courses you want to go to. Just a seamless, personalized experience. Check it out today at birdie.openlinksgolf.com. It's the future of golf trip planning. What happens when you build the shaft, particularly if you build the shaft shorter, which I have been doing, I've been like 44 and three quarters, 44, 45 tops. So when I built my original one, I had heard that they were tipping an inch of the softer profile for the normal shaft that they would play. So if you're a 60X player, they were inch tipping a 60 stiff, and a lot of guys were really liking that. So that's what I did. It was kind of by accident because I got sent a stiff in 7X, but it's great. So that's what I did. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Not because it's a bad shaft, not because it's, it's not whatever. I just didn't like it because it's incredibly tight in the handle. Like you guys all know, there's one right there. I can't grab it. I felt the same way about the new Velcro Plus TR Blue. I think the handle is just ridiculously tight, and that's just not the golf shaft for me. But it works phenomenally well, and it adds a ton of speed for the people that it is right for. Like it's really, really good at speed generation. So is the Titan. But with the Titan, I felt like the way that I had built it. So I tipped it an inch. I cut it at 44 and three quarters. It felt like I was cutting the soft handle off during the build process, which I was excited about the potential of the Titan being like a Diamante PD on steroids. That's what I wanted it to be. That's what I was excited about it being. Because I played PD for 2 years, and it still is probably the best other than, like, D-Lemonade, which is basically PD, like, it just felt phenomenal. So I was super excited originally to test Titan, and then I was very disappointed when it was super tight. And then I had seen all the marketing, and, Don had said and some of the engineer guys had said, like, "Oh, it's a soft handle profile that leads into just an absolutely stout ass tip." And I built it, and I was disappointed. I'm like, "Screw it." And then you had mentioned that there was a rumor, which we have now figured out was kinda unfounded,
Confirmed that was
but
not true, yeah.
yeah, but it sparked an idea that made sense to me. So basically, I tipped a 6.5, 2 inches, and I built it at 45 and a quarter. So I left a half inch more, but I also tipped it an inch more, so I left an inch and a half more on the butt
On the
in
handle, yeah.
total math, and it feels phenomenal. Like, it feels like a PD on steroids, and I absolutely love it because I noticed, and I was talking to my coach about this too. I noticed like a couple weeks ago that a lot of my swing issues lately have been I started getting scared to swing hard, and that's pretty silly in my game because like that's what I do is I get really
That's how you make
aggressive
your
down
money,
through the
yeah.
ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started getting scared to swing hard, and that's where like Nippon was doing okay for me in iron shafts, for example. And then I moved back to Project X, and I realized like if I swing hard again, I'm gonna hit my irons really, really well. So going into the driver and all the challenges I've had this year, which I've shared with the audience, I was really excited how this felt because I just started swinging harder. And I sent you swings that were like 114, 115, and I haven't
Yeah.
been there with my driver woes this year. So I like for everybody listening, please don't go tip a Titan 2 inches because I'm still not sure like what I'm messing up doing that. Like I'm going to find out so I can present this properly. But um, I love it. I mean, it was fantastic. I haven't hit it in the Callaway yet. I can't wait to do that. I'm gonna do that, uh, Wednesday. Um, the day before people see this. So on my Instagram, if you go right now, there's probably a story up actually that says my Titan experiment worked or it didn't work. So there's that.
That's interesting because that's becoming a pretty popular shaft. Well, especially on tour. I mean, you're starting to see conversions, which means eventually once it hits the marketplace in a meaningful way, like in the hitting bays, like it's
Yeah.
one of those shafts that you're going to start to hear the consumers talk about. Um, do you know
Yeah,
what
because they were
I
at
actually
what, 18 last week? Is that right? 18 in
I
play
think
last week,
so.
I think?
It was like yeah, it was like
Something like that. It
15 to
was
18 or so.
close.
They've been getting continuously 12 to 18 every week, which is, for a new shaft is quite a bit.
Yeah,
And
it's great.
what I've noticed is it's not one company that the players are switching off of. So it's not like all
Yeah.
Ventus users are going here. It's kind of all over the map. Um, some of the bigger names have swapped from Project X other profiles into this one. So, Project X, in my experience, has always had kind of especially their black profiles have always been on the boardier side of the boardier stuff. It's very, very stiff parts. Which doesn't mean that you have to swing hard to make it work. It just means that the feel of them is boardy. Um, but it's a good shaft. Like I hit it in a ping and I hit it in a TaylorMade. And I was same numbers I was getting with Ventus Black. I just didn't hit it out of the middle as much as I hit with Ventus Black. And
Yeah.
me, I've said this on the podcast a million times. I think the mark of a good shaft is one that you can time up and hit out of the middle, no matter how bad your swing is that day.
Yeah.
A good shaft will kind of just react to whatever, and maybe it's because Ventus Black for me doesn't move around enough. So whatever geriatric spasm I'm having, in my golf swing, it seems to be like, yeah, I'm not playing that game. We're just gonna keep going down this path here, and we'll get to this. Um, but yeah,
Well,
the
that's where the
shaft thing,
argument comes where sorry,
go
that's
ahead.
where the argument comes where I keep telling you, like, that's not the shaft for you. Like, it's
It
there's
just
just
works, and
I
every
know,
fitter
and
has
it
said
and
that
that's
at the
fine.
beginning
I
of
just
every
you're
fit. Everybody says, "Really, Ventus Black?
yeah,
Like, really?"
yeah,
And what I've noticed in all my fittings that I had, the fitting I had with Showman, fitting I had with Adrian, um, the fitting at Ping, is I start off slow. I start off at 106, 107, and then they start messing with the head a
yeah.
little bit and get it dialed in. And then little by little, it starts to go 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, and my swing speed. And then I start, and the faster I get, the better I hit it. So now, granted, I'm 20 years older than you are, so it takes me 15, 20 driver swings to get tuned up. But that's a shaft that it travels from head to head better than any shaft that I can find. The
Yeah.
blue board would be the other one that I really have success with going from head to head. Like I can kind of put that
Which
in
is
any,
just so
it makes no
weird.
sense.
That's
But
that's my problem with this whole thing. It's so weird.
but blue board's easy because blue board, I've been playing some form of blue board since 2006 or something. For 20 years I've been playing, so I know it's like dynamic gold S400 for me. I just kind of know how it's supposed to kick.
That's fair.
But anyway, the shaft thing is interesting. The point is that there is no right answer. That's the one part of your golf club that you kind of gotta figure out on your own. And it's a completely feel thing. I always compare it to people liking produced music versus live music. Like, you know what I mean? Some people just really gel well with the chaos of a live performance, and some people just like, I don't want to hear it that way. I want to hear it like nice and clean. The shafts are kind of the same way. It's just kind of whatever you kind of pick your poison. We can dig into a little bit here. It's a tour story, and I hope you guys liked the first episode of Tour Validated. We were supposed to do it every week, but logistically, we're cranking up this fully equipped podcast. We want to make sure that this one's starting to grow, which it is. Um, the fully equipped channel in general, Jake, you can speak to this too. Like the channel's growing,
Oh
the
yeah.
podcast is doing well, so it's growing. But Tour Valid will be once a month for now. Typically, it'll be on a truck or something like that with a player or a rep or whatever. Um, but the ping episode turned out well. You got to see Kenton and Adam. They had to answer some questions they typically wouldn't answer from the media. Like, what other golf clubs from other companies do you like? Like, I was on the razor's edge of getting both those guys fired probably 2 or 3 times, but they continue to get
What do you
paychecks,
do with
which is
the
nice.
discards on the truck? Yeah.
What a
By
great,
the
but
way,
that's the stuff that people want to know.
yeah, but so by the way, I'm not gonna say what tournament, but there's one tournament every year that is one of the get the fuck rid of everything on this truck tournaments, and, it's my favorite tournament to visit. I'll say that.
Well, I'll tell you one.
That's a fun one.
If you're ever in Vegas, at Summerlin during the fall. That is a great
Yeah,
place to be.
that's the second one, yeah. Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
that's
one.
the second one. No, I'm always
RSM
there
was
for the
never that
first
great
one.
on, like RSM was never that great on the Callaway truck because we always had the Corn Ferry truck at RSM because 'cause you'd be going from
Mhm.
Vegas. They didn't drive it cross country in, 5 days, but Vegas was a big one, and then what one were you gonna say?
I'm keeping that a secret. I'm not letting people know.
I'm trying to go back on my I used to remember Vegas was always like that, especially Vegas in Kellen's OCD kicks in, then whoever walks in that truck is coming out with some gear. Like,
My
it's
favorite thing was the
awesome.
shaft drawer, like, because ping the other thing, and this is such a caveat, but, like, ping is such a good head to test things with because you can rely on the stability of a ping. It might not be the fastest thing, it might not be the perfect head for you, but like if you have shafts and the only adapters you can use to test them with are ping adapters for some reason, like you're in a good spot because you can rely on a ping head to give you stability and numbers that are super consistent without worrying about the head being the factor. Um, and so I like, I don't know. I've probably got 15 randomly built shafts that are all like all ping adapters and they're like all labeled at different lengths and different cuts, different grips. There's like, I've got a couple Corey Connors ripoffs. I know I've got I had one in there that was a Hovland one that he was testing. Like there's all these shafts that they're like, yeah, like, one guy builds it and the next guy doesn't need the same spec. So it's like, what do we do with it? Like we can't there's not
Well, yeah,
really anything we do
they
with it.
can't
So
sell it. They can't. I mean, and it's better. Like even even in when I was at Callaway too. Like they would want if you're gonna get stuff, then you're not gonna use it. They prefer that you recirculate it. So they're like, please give it. If you're not gonna use it, like reseed it out to your friends. Like just get it out in circulation. Get people, which I always thought was like I always loved that part because I always loved, at the end of the year, for example, my buddies from SoCal would come to Palm Desert, we'd play golf, and then they'd show up at my parents' house, and my buddy Nico would open the closet, and he would just go in there and start just grabbing stuff. And at that point, you're already on to the next cycle. The new stuff's coming.
yeah.
I can't talk about this stuff anymore. You know, take it. Like, it's all good. And I love that part of that job. Interesting thing happening with drivers right now, and it's a trend, and I think it's actually a trend in the right direction. I got to be careful how I say this. I think it's slowly becoming the death of the LS head, and
I
I'll explain
love that.
why. I'll explain why. Gary Woodland, that video we just posted, is in Optum K. Okay. And he called it out. He said, I noticed that I drive it really well when my drivers are back weighted. Right. He called it out. He's like, Ben and I went back into history, and all the times that I drove the ball well, I had more weight up in the back than I did in the front. So then I have notes from my Callaway days, and I started going back to find out some of the setups from like Rom and Xander and when they really, really started to drive it well. For like Rom, for example, when Rom drives it well, it's very neutral waiting, or there's like 12 in the back and 8 in the front. Xander is pretty neutral. None of those guys were front loaded weights, and they all drove it well when they played. The only time that they had a ton of weight up front is if they played with a lot of loft. So what I'm seeing is that these core heads, for example, if we're going to talk about Callaway, the reason why the TD Max works, I think, so well is that you can make it super low spin, or you can make it super fast and super forgiving. QI4Ds like that. That's why you're seeing so many ping players go from 440 LST into 440K,
Yep.
because you can go down in loft. Now, the only concession that the players are going to have to make is seeing less loft, which that's what a
Yeah.
Sharpie marker's for. You just draw some lines on it and see the loft. I think it's we're getting to that point where your LS heads from all the OEMs don't make a lot of sense because the core heads are getting so good with a weighting and where they can move CG, like, Optim X, for example. I don't know. Like, you could make it, like, I could play a 10.5 QI4D and Adrian could put a ton of weight up front. And I guarantee I hit it as fast and with the same spin as I hit the 8.5 degree one I have now. Right. So I start to think, like, what's the value of having for an OEM in large quantities? Why would you make why would you make an LS head? Like, why don't you make it like a special drop, at this point? Like, why don't you just push your core model? Like, I told this to McAnally and those guys when I was at Callaway. I'm like, theoretically, I told Chip this. I'm like, you guys could have sold one driver this year. You guys could have only had TD Max and you'd probably still be killing it. If that was the only driver you had, you'd still be all the big lists. You'd be in all the hot lists. You'd be selling drivers. You'd still, I mean, you could you and TaylorMade could get away with selling one. Even Ping could get away with selling one driver. That's how good those three drivers are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of
I
a
don't think I'm
statement, but
crazy
it's
for
not
saying that.
wrong. Like, no, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think what's funny to me about LS drivers, and I said this a long time ago, and I got some pushback on it, is like LS or low spin heads in general, when it used to be that it was like a clear cut difference between the two heads, not that one could overlap so much, which is what's happening now. Were really good for two sets of players. One of them was the obvious one, the guy that has a ton of speed, so he produces a ton of spin, so he needs a piece that takes that spin off. But two, I have put a lot of slicey people into a low lofted LS head that's lofted up because it closes the face and it eliminates a lot of spin. I have done that for a lot of people, and they're like, "Why am I supposed to be playing this? Because this is for the fast guy." Well, no, no, no. It's a spin thing. Like
It's a
within the
tool, yeah.
last, yeah, within the last 3, 4 years, I would argue that the idea that a LS head is an unusable amount of forgiveness for most golfers is a statement that is now null and void. Like, I don't believe in that anymore, especially because if you're somebody that produces so much spin, you're not really worried about a low spin miss. So your, high toe on a QI4D LS or on a triple diamond is not going to kill you. It's probably still going to be well within the realm of okay. And then anything else on the face that you're missing is just going to add a little bit of spin back. So to me, it's always been like, well, I think the idea of creating a straighter ball flight with speed is much much further surpassing the need for forgiveness for those folks. So I've done that a lot, and it's something that on paper like you're not supposed to do. So I don't like tout that very much, but I've done that a bunch. And what's weird now is like the core models, and I want to talk about GTS a little bit because what we've seen from GTS with the back weight now in the GTS 3 is super interesting because it would fall right in line with what you're saying. The
Right.
GT4 is not really the most popular thing on the planet anyhow,
They
but
don't they don't sell they
how
don't
many
sell a lot of
guys
them
were
anyway. Yeah.
no, but how many guys were in GT2 instead of GT3? Because they were taking the performance benefits that they got out of a lower lofted GT2 package than the GT3. So I'm interested to see if there is an aero difference, and we know nothing. Just so everybody's listening, like I know nothing.
No,
Like we haven't
nothing.
hit them, we haven't
We
touched
don't know
them.
any more than anybody else does,
Yeah,
yeah.
correct. So to me, the new weighting strategy of the GTS 3 makes a lot of sense because it's the same thing as QI40 core. They're trying to pull more levers on a head so that they can have more people kind of geared towards that head. And then the GTS 2 also has the addition of that weight. So it's like, okay, now we are using the MOI and the launch properties of GT2 for that person. But GT3 gets to invite half those people back home into GTS 3. So I keep saying it's GTS 3, sorry. But like it makes a lot of sense. And I
It
think,
does.
and again, somebody in my comments was like talking about I don't know, something with like their launch strategy or something. And I had said, I'm like, look, like I think the I think some of the companies going every year is smart because I think those companies churn out iterations faster and there's a reason for all those launches. There's always that one thing that they needed to release, and a lot of times it's because that thing leads to the next thing, but they can't get there unless that's actually out in the public. So,
Right.
but Titleist doesn't really care. Titleist with their 2-year cycle, Titleist is like the tiger that's sitting under the shade just waiting to see what's happening in front of it until they decide it's ready for their food, right? And that's why like people are like, why did Titleist switch their release schedule this year? Because they fucking can. Like, because they sat back. They were like, okay, we've got this. We're gonna do this. We've tested this. Here's the update to our thing, how it compares to others. we're just gonna sit here and wait until we think it's ready for the market and people are gonna actually see benefit from it, and then we'll release it. Turns out this year, it looks like or it appears like it's gonna be a little bit early. If
Yeah.
you take a look at their tour launch timing from previous years to this year, it's earlier. So I would imagine that which again, legitimately, we have no idea. The consumer release date, I have not been told yet. We're just all assuming that because it came out earlier on tour, it's coming out earlier to the retail too.
Which to
'Cause
me
Titleist
signals
doesn't
that they're
love to tease for too long.
right, which to me suggests that they're excited about what they have and they want to get into the early part of the year faster than normal. Because like the companies, launching drivers every year, like there's a lot of value to that. It puts pressure on puts pressure on your R&D departments in a good way. It keeps them constantly innovating. Right, you don't get to sit back for 6 months. Not that any of these companies, even the 2 year launch cycle, people don't sit back. But when you are constantly thinking about next year, next year, next year, next year, next year, like I know for a fact that Callaway, TaylorMade, all those guys. I mean, I guarantee they're all 75% cooked on the one for 2027 already. Because this is kind of
Yeah, oh
when
yeah.
we're in April. So if I go back in time, we'd be seeing unpainted prototype heads on the truck kind of around now, and then within the next 30 days is when we'd see them on the truck, like the one for next year. It wouldn't have a name on it. It'd be a project name, and you'd see it. Wouldn't have any paint on it, but you'd see it, and you'd be able to hit it. And um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of value for the 2 year cycle, but it depends on the company. Now, Titleist has the benefit of selling more golf balls than God, so the financial, I'm speculating just based on what I see of the marketplace, but I'm assuming the pressure to sell drivers is not as great for Titleist as it is for another company because you have this big gorilla to rely on, right? Um, but it's interesting. I mean, I would like to see at some point before I die, I'd like to see TaylorMade or Callaway do it 2 years just to see what happens. Like, I think for argument's sake, like AI Smoke was a really cool platform. Callaway probably could have let that run for a couple of years, honestly. Like they probably just could have let it go and just said, you know what, this is a good driver. We're going to keep it rolling, and then went right into Quantum. Now, was Elite a good driver? Yeah, but was it worth all the marketing money and all? I mean, if they look back, they probably said if there was a couple we could have skipped. We probably could have skipped Elite, maybe, just because it didn't. I don't think it was as good as Callaway wanted to be, because especially when you put it up against Quantum, like two totally different animals, man. I mean, Elite was a good. I liked Elite. I thought it was great, but then you get to Quantum and you're like, bro, like you guys went from here to here, kind of like what they did with the golf balls. You had a really good golf ball. Now you have like a fuck all golf ball. So they've made two big for a company like Callaway that's already like, arguably the biggest golf club company in the world, to make two big leaps in two big categories in 1 year. That's saying something.
It's huge.
And I think this is an interesting thing to talk about, Jake, but like what companies in 2026 made the biggest leap from the year before? I think Callaway has. And Cobra would be the two that took
I was gonna
that.
say it's Callaway and Cobra, yeah, like
Callaway and Cobra took like the biggest, like, and do you know what I could say? PXG drivers went from like, yeah, to like, oh, geez. Like they
yeah,
made a
I mean,
big leap.
PhD drivers went from, like, they don't need to be in a fitting conversation to not a bad idea to put it in a fitting
You got to hit
conversation,
it.
like,
Yeah, you have to
yeah,
you
I mean,
have to at least, like,
it's
if you're looking for a driver, you better hit PXG, you better try it. I mean, you'd be stupid not
yeah,
to.
because like yeah, I mean, it's funny because like, I wonder if PXG did the opposite of the Titleist, where they, like, blew the load too early. I do think their release timing actually did them a disservice, which is
I think so too.
interesting. It's like it's one of those things because like, we were hyped about it. There was no mistaking that you and I were both very much so about that driver, and I still am. Like, it's still downstairs built, like, in, like, the gamer section of the rotation of bags. Like, I have no problem grabbing the PXG and gonna go, play with it. Um, the problem was, like, 2 months later, all everything else came out, and now there's, like, all
Right.
this stuff, and, like, it just ends up on the back burner. Like, that's just what happens until somebody reminds you, like, "Hey, remember that really good thing that's actually a new current product as well as all this other stuff?" And you just go, "Oh, yeah, like, shit, like, that stuff's really good." Especially, you know what I actually did hit the other day? Because 'Cause I'm in a rabbit hole of a couple spots in the bag is, Um, I have that 5 wood that we built. I got the not
The
the
tour
the
one?
I got the deeper one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
have a
tour
5
one.
wood that at we built it at 3 wood length because we were doing fittings with 3 wood shafts, and it was just a launch thing, like, we just needed the ball up in the air. So we built a 5 wood, we added a little weight to it, built it at a 3 wood length. That thing's a rocket ship. Like, I hit it again the other day, and I was like, "Oh, there's a
Right.
little lightning might be going in the bag.
Yeah.
Lightning might strike in the bag."
Can I
But,
can I
like,
s
it's
Go
cool.
ahead.
There you go. That's
It
it. That's
it
all I
is
got.
it is cool, but, like, let's talk about PXG for a second, 'cause it's funny the psychology of all this stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So, when I think about, PXG, for example, and I'm going there this week, I'm going to do, like, a full bag tour fitting, and it's gonna be an awesome video with Anthony Gagliano, and we're, doing a tour validated episode with Jake Knapp, or he's gonna do the same thing that Charles. I mean, I'm giving away the goods now, but, like, this is gonna be banger videos. I always leave PXG. Any media event I've gone to, or anytime I've met with a fitter, or I get sent to club, I always get super excited about their stuff. I always think it looks good. There's something about it. I always think their irons fall. Like I just I get excited to play golf. And you hit it on a good point. And then literally like 30 days later, TaylorMade, Callaway, Ping, and Titleist just go "Rrrr," like they're all over you, right? And it's not that because for example, I took my PXG driver to TaylorMade for no, for the launch content stuff. When we went and shot all the launch content stuff, I brought the PXG
Yeah.
driver with me, and it was performing just like all the rest of them were. I remember I was at Titleist and was going through something to doing some Titleist stuff, and I was hitting the PXG driver, and Lucas was there, and Lucas goes because I was in a 2, and he was gonna fit me into a 3 really quick, and I hit the PXG driver, and he
Yeah.
looked at me, he's like, "This is a good he's like, "This is a good driver." I'm like, "This is a really good driver." He's like, "It's fast." I'm like, "Yeah, it's really fast." And it's not
Yeah.
like any company took their driver and said, "Okay, you're 5 miles an hour faster with this one than you are with the PXG." It was like always like right it was always like right here. I guess the difference would be is that fitter had more time to move stuff around, with Adrian being like the most obscene version of that,
Yeah.
you know, which hence which is why that's the driver I played at Battle of the Beach, because I had the best fitter in the world, like messing around with my driver. Like you're toast at that point. Any of these guys, I mean, you give any of these guys a couple hours, dude, they got you. I don't care if they're fitting you into like a 2001, top flight fucking Spectra. It doesn't matter. They
Yeah.
got if the
Yeah.
fitters get their
No,
hands on you,
like
they got you.
yeah, like, we didn't have a ton of time for those PSG fits. It's not like we were getting super dialed, like, they just wanted to put something in our hands that was good, that was, like, giving us performance that we were after, but we didn't do a ton of micro adjustments, we didn't do, like, a ton of shaft testing, we didn't do like, there was only certain stuff available because they built all that stuff. Like, people have to understand, at that media event, like, we literally had drivers built for 40 people overnight, plus irons, like, for everybody. It was phenomenal what they did, but, like, a lot of it was, that shaft was already built, so they just went and cut it, gripped it, and, like, graphics aren't in perfectly or whatever because it's not the right setting,
Yeah, you
but, like,
got
they did
three
everything
guys
they
putting
could.
together 40 sets of clubs.
Yeah, they did everything they
Yeah.
could to make us leave there excited, and that's exactly what happened. Everybody left that event pretty pumped about that stuff. Like, there wasn't anybody that left that event that was like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, everybody was pretty jazzed, and everybody at that event played that stuff for a good couple weeks after that event. Like, I know Dougie did. I know Knudsen had it out there. Like,
I did. I
we
had
were
the
all
irons like
sold.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was and again, it didn't fall out of favor because it wasn't good. It fell out of favor because I got 65 golf clubs thrown at me in a week and a half. And it was like, okay, now I don't
yeah,
like and at that point, you'd gone through so many fittings without that PXC. So that's why I'm kind of excited to go now with a bag that I
yeah,
love and just go like, okay, let's see where you stack up now. Because to be honest, like, I told you this on the phone today. Like, I have my next big tournament that I have as a member guest with my boss, right? And it's like, you know what? If I go to this PXG event with Anthony and who a guy that I trust, like I trust him a ton. He's a great dude. He's very very smart. Like, I might just go to Morris County and go play with his PXC. Like, who knows? I mean, it could end up being that way. And to me, it's a fun thought. It's like, no, I'm gonna go take this, this camouflage bag that we got, like show up in New Jersey with like this bag full of hammers and go see like and you know I'll say this also. We'll move on to another topic. Like the PXG irons are great irons. The only thing I can say about them is if you are a player that relies on a ton of speed and a ton of spin with your short irons, you're getting the stopping power from the ball going up in the air. So there's not a lot of like there's no second or third gear on those things. It's like chip or nuke. And that's kind of how they're, but they make irons with the consumer in mind first, especially their players' irons. Unless you get to the 0317 category, which is their tour irons. But if you're talking about your Gen 8, your Generation 7, Generation 8, those are made for the consumers. Like better player, like the
Yeah.
T, for example, is a better player consumer iron. Um, so to be honest, like you play with me at when we were at Scottsdale National, I loved those irons. I just don't hit 8 iron 165 yards. Like for me, it's I don't know how to play golf.
Shit, dude, I was 1 over, like,
Yeah,
with
we played good.
clubs.
Yeah, and you drove the
Yeah,
piss out
like,
of it
we
too.
both played really
We were having
well, and
yeah, we were having fun.
we
So
were just hitting an extra club and a half. Like, I was hitting I was hitting 7 irons, 205 yards, like, it was ridiculous,
but
but,
do
like,
you know what the
it was
perfect do
fun and they
you
were
know
great. Yeah.
Do you know what the perfect example is though, Jake? So we played in Orlando before Battle of the Beach, right? And you've been watching my physical limitations. And like, that was the first time that I was like, over the past couple months, feeling like I could add some speed and stuff. And I have this Cobra set, right? Like I was getting 135 out of a 5 iron, like I was starting to get like good speed numbers, right?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
difference between the set that I play with these Cobras is when I get to 7 iron, 8 iron, 9 iron, I'm getting like MB spin with 3D ball speed. And with the PXGs, I would get slightly more than 3D ball speed, but I would get like, like way less spin. So anyway, long story longer, it's gonna be interesting. I'm excited to go see Anthony this week and it's gonna be pretty cool. But I don't know, we have about 15, 20 minutes left. This camera's following me. Hold on one second. Tell this thing to calm down. Um, let's talk a little bit also. Because I've been getting a lot of questions. People are asking, about iron launches and stuff like that are coming up this year, right? There's, and to be honest, guys, the dates move around on some of these launches. I'm not going to tell you who or what, but like there's some big launches between now and this time next year. There's 3 or 4 big iron launches coming, and I want to ask you a question. Okay, so far, I think you and I would both agree. As far as performance for you and I, Cobra irons seem to make the irons that we just seem to hit the best and like, and a lot of it has to do with the. And granted, we're blessed that we're able to add a little customization into the irons that we get from Cobra because they'll do extra stuff like for example, my irons have offset in them and they don't make them with offset, but mine have offset and which is, I
Yeah.
think, eventually where it's going, and it's gonna be the coolest platform in the world, and, I hope they take that all the way because they will be on the map as the
I
iron they'll
yeah,
kill it.
I sure
Um,
hope so.
what other company, though, as far as irons are concerned, like, if I go down the list, if I say, like, T-Series irons for you I'm just talking about specifically for you. That iron you liked, but why didn't T100 or T150 work for you?
T150, I think my peak height was 130 feet in the air,
So it just went too
and
high?
it just yeah, it went too high, it was way too fast. T100, we could not get the toe out of the ground. We were 3 up at one point and, like, could not get the toe out of the ground. Um, and it also like, it's just a weird sole for me. I just didn't it
It's a
didn't
little roundy.
yeah, it didn't
Yeah,
like, it felt like it went in, like, in steps, not in a ramp.
right.
So that didn't work, but then I ended up in CBs, which I would love an update to, but there's just no it's the same thing as the PXGs. I would love a PXG CB update. Absolutely would adore a PXG CB update, but I don't know if we're ever gonna get one, honestly. Like,
I don't know what
until
else they need to do to that iron though. What else do you need to do? Maybe change the sole, but like that
it
you wanna
would
talk
be
about
cool to have a CB with the 2 weights instead of the 1. I will say that.
it would be,
That would be cool.
but for a baseline CB, which to me would be P7CB, TCB, and 0317CB. Those are basic one piece. Well, not one piece, but close enough. TCB is not one piece. Those are simple. They have a little bit of offset. They're short heel to toe. They don't go far. They spin at a tour level. They're great irons. You don't need to do anything else to those irons. Like you really don't. I remember when I was at Callaway, we talk about TCB. I'm like, you can run this back for 10 years. And all the tour guys would still play them, and nobody would come on the truck. Go, can you guys update these? Nobody, you would never hear that one time. Everybody like, these are great. I'm just going to keep playing these. What do you
Uh,
think?
well, the only thing I would say to that is just like the soul story. Like, and this is where you get into the real weeds of stuff and like some of the rumors that you hear about some of the Mizuno stuff coming. Um, None of this has been told to me by any reliable source whatsoever, just to preface this. But like we have Mizuno S1, we have Mizuno S3, and then they have M13. That implies that there is a gap for S2 and S4. Mizuno has specifically not called the M13 a cavity back, and the S3 is also not a cavity back. So that would imply that the S4 is a true cavity back whenever
Carry
that
back,
comes
yeah.
out, if it comes out. And the S2 then is fucking what? The rumor has been that the S2 is a
Combo
adopted
set.
soul S1. So it's the soul of the S3, the body of an S1, S2, which would be sick. Like that would be really cool. And it's just, and that's where I think like it's super unfeasible from like a practicability standpoint, but like practicability, that's not a word, but whatever.
Practicality?
But like practicality, thank you. But if people were able to like if you told me right now that I could get the Cobra CBs or the PXG CBs or P7 CB or a Blueprint S or a TCB, which I will end with because I've asked for this, with a triple cut sole, I would be phenomenally thrilled. Now, does everybody that plays a CB want that sole? No. So you have to choose when you release that iron, which one are you going to do? My thing to that would be okay, if there's nothing to change about the Titleist 620 CB, make a Titleist 620 CBT. And you keep your manufacturing happening of the 620, but now there's a variant because you haven't released a new CB in however many years. Now there's a variant, same exact thing with a triple cut sole or with, whatever they want to call it. I don't know what's copyrighted and what's not, but like whatever you want to call it, right? So to me, that's the intriguing part about the CB market. It's like there's a lot of people that do things to CBs as well on tour. Like I've seen more CBs with different soul grinds than I have MBs, for example, because like an MB, it's so narrow to begin with that you can't really do much to it because you'd be removing too much material. But then you have something like, and we can talk about it. You have something like the new Apex MB. We've all seen photos of it. We don't have to talk about performance, but like it's kind of like that's what the new Apex MB is. It's really like a narrow-soled triple cut CB, true CB, not a
Well,
TCB with a, multi, like, well, I don't know.
and I can attest because I mean, I sent you videos. I've had a set for a while, and I took them out and hit them, and they're as long as the 3D tours that I got in my bag, which are hollow body or whatever they are. Which I was like, wow. And I remember I called Kellen. I'm like, these are fast. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, and they're really forgiving. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, how is it? Like, how? How? Like that doesn't make any because they're just a forging. So anyway, the point to that was like, I don't know. And maybe it's because of idiots like us, because we talk about it and we're informing the public on all this different stuff and what you can do here and what you can do there and blah, 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 blah. I don't find the driver market I don't find the driver market confusing for the consumer. I don't. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Like you have, most of them have 3 or 4 heads. If this one draws, this one goes straight, this one goes up, and this one goes, far with no spin. Fair. You could condense it and make it instead of 4, you could arguably have 2 theoretically. You have a K driver that's draw bias, and you could have your core model that goes really low spin or really high spin. The iron market is for the consumer. It's a little confusing. It really
Oh,
is. Like, I mean,
100%,
it's
yeah.
because in the air they don't separate themselves. It's literally the user experience that you're selling. It's this one gets to the turf, this one gets to the turf this way. This is an MB, but this one's a fast MB. This, I mean, it's so hard to weed through. And I'm talking about in your tour tour irons on down. Because once you get to the
Yeah.
your player's performance iron, your 770s, your Gen 8 Ts, you get those are pretty self-explanatory what they are. Like Wilson's got a cool set now. Go ahead.
So the only thing I would say to that, and I think I've circulated this to you too, it was like a year ago, but like I passed around a spreadsheet that I made, and it basically was a table of every brand and every iron they make. And I tried to categorize things in basically 5 categories. It was blade, muscle cavity, cavity back, uh, player's distance, and then player improvement. So using the tailor-made lineup as the north star of this chart, it was TW, MC, CB, 770, 790, which I think of all the lineups out there, tailor-made is the easiest lineup to understand from like a just looking at it, you're like, "Oh, this does this is like cool." Okay. And then I go, "Okay, so you look at Strixon. Does a ZX5 compete with a 770 or with the CB? Does a ZX7 compete with the CB or the MC or a little bit of both? Does the, like, so I start going out the T150. Does T150 compete with 770? Because that seems unfair, right? Like
Right.
it doesn't. So there's all now there's this like there's a player speed and a player distance and a player improvement and a player help. I don't know. And
Yeah,
then
you have
there's like,
super game improvement, you have players performance, players distance, you have tour cavity back, you have muscle back, you have muscle cavity, you have, I mean, it's like,
yeah, like the 790 made the whole market go, "Oh, shit." Like, there's now a category that TaylorMade just dropped on everybody. And then I think 770 did the same thing. Like, I think 770 is such a unique little animal, and the only thing that I can genuinely compare to 770 is PXGT or one of your old favorites, Rogue ST Pro, which was a
love them.
super weird fucking iron. Like,
It
super
was a
weird
weird
iron, but
iron,
really
but it was
good.
790 speed with
Yeah.
770
7 7
fin. It was
that
a
so
weird
that's the thing, right?
iron.
So it's like
Yeah.
where yeah, exactly. And like and Callaway, like, love those guys, but holy hell with the iron lineup, like, could we, we gotta figure this thing out. Like, there's way too many here, and there seems to be 3 things that do the same thing. Then there's 2 things down here, and they feel like they do the same thing. And then there's this other thing that's 3 years old that people are still using, and it does this thing. And it's like, that's where you put that in the chart, and it's like, okay,
And
there's
and
5
they're all
categories for 12 irons. What are we doing?
and they're all good. Like they're all like,
Yeah, no, they
you
were
can make
great.
an
Yeah.
argument for all of them. And so that's kind of my point is it's like, are we as consumers asking too much? Meaning, like, it got to be nice. It's the conversation that got to be nice to have an iron that did this. Got to be nice to have an iron.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be super frank here. When you get this is for all the consumers out there, and I've said this on podcasts and on my IG and everything. When you get past players' performance, and I'm talking when you get to the CB market onto the blades all the way
Yeah.
down, it's literally what kind of music do you like? Like, that separates them. There's not one that's longer. You're not gonna gain any performance from hopping from one. It just depends on it's kinda like a shaft. If you just happen to get that one through the turf, get it on grooves 2 through 5 or 2 through 6, some irons will help Johnny Wunder get to those grooves faster than other ones will, right? So, like, when I hit Strixon irons, for example, I hit their short irons, 8 through pitching wedge, ZXI7, I hit them really well because I'm super steep and I can get them into the ground and I get great numbers. And when I get to 7 iron and 6, when I start to get more shallow, I start to lose performance. So like typically where a cutoff in performance for me would be like between 4 and 5 iron, usually is where it happens for me is when things start to get squeezy. With those irons, I would have to go into the 5s at, like, the 6 iron, but the problem is all of a sudden I'm hitting my 6 iron like I hit at other sets 5 because I was really long with those irons. when you get to 4, 5, and 6. So the gapping got all weird. Then I'm having to bend my 7-iron strong, or I'm trying to bend I was having to play weird whack-a-mole in the middle of that set. Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is, like, when you get to that category of iron, and, there's a pretty big demographic, that's kinda all the better players, all your under 5 handicaps are looking at irons like that. Is Charles Howell, literally tour players with millions of dollars. I told you he called me this morning. What's the best iron out there? And I'm like, dude, like I don't know. Like, you like short heel to toe, you like a little offset. So, like, I can think of three that fit that category. It's like the 0317, the TCBs. Like, LA Golf has an iron, so they kind of have that in there. Like, there's three or four out there that kind of fit the mold. And the ones with offset, unfortunately, the other ones with offset have really long heel to toe. Like Ping blueprints, for example, have a little bit of offset, but they're really long heel to toe. He doesn't like that because he can't rotate the face fast enough because he kind of pull hooks everything. So for all you guys out there, like, there is, and I've said this a million times, there is no best. And in the air, to me, all these irons kind of do the same. Apples to apples. It's when you put them in your hands. If you've been fit for them, is when you're going to find out what one is best for you. So I always find it funny when people will ask, like, what's the hot combo this year? It's like, there's never going to be that one iron that everybody goes to. I think the one iron that was popular and still is to this day would be Strixon, you, because of the sole, that player's cavity back is helping more steep players than any other cavity back in that category ever has. That's where you're seeing a lot of the companies go to a triple cut sole, because it makes you're inviting in more golfers. You don't have to be shallow to get those ones on the face. So, I don't know why I just went on the rant, but it's, like, important. We get those questions all the time, and I'm like, "Bro, I have no idea." Like, it could be anything. If you had asked me that 6 years ago, I'd have said, "Oh, dude." Like, even before Callaway, I would have said, "P760 is the best this iron, and these are the best blades." I would have called it out. Now I'm like, especially after 5 years of Callaway, I'm like, "Dude, I have no idea." They're all good. They're all bangers.
Yeah,
Um
especially in that blade market. It's like, just what do you like? What sounds good? That's important. Like, what sounds good? And, what like, they're all gonna look the same once you get them in the air. The problem is what gets it in the air the best. That's really what it comes down to. Like, what gets it from the ground to flying better than the other ones is really it's pretty like, if you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play MB," it's like, it's pretty easy to figure that out. It's gonna take 12 shots. Like, there's not much you can do about it.
No, there's not. If you guys go back and watch the wedge fitting that I did with Aaron Dill, for example, that's basically that's kind of the outcome you would want if you're testing CBs. It'd be like somebody going, "Okay, here's the Strixon 7-iron, hit this one. Okay, here's this one, here's this one." You just keep hitting them, and then eventually you're gonna find an iron that gets you out of that groove, that they call it the tiger spot or whatever.
Tiger strike, as a forward calls it,
Tiger
yeah.
strike, which is a real thing, by the way. I mean, when you hit an iron good, you get it out of the same part of the face. You'll find the iron that gets you to that part of the face. That's the right iron for you. Like, that's it. If you need more horsepower, then you go to the 150 version of whatever you're hitting. Like, you just crank it up a bit and you do it that way. And Jake, like, you're the perfect example of that. Like, you hit your irons really solid, but you have needs. You need irons that kind of help you get the ball in the air. You need spin because you're kind of a rotational dead hand player. So you're kind of hitting like these dead hand backhands basically. So you need specific things out of an iron, and certain muscle backs will get you there faster than other muscle backs, where it just depends on the sole and where the CG is on it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so if any of that made sense to you guys when you're out there buying golf clubs, and if you're watching Jake's content or my stuff, my babble on my IG, ultimately what we're trying to get you guys is just to try stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're not recommending products. We're just saying, like, this is worth a try. 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 And I haven't come across, since I took this gig with golf.com, I haven't come across, except for the crank 12 wood. Was it 12 wood or the 15 wood? 15 wood?
The 12 degree wood?
No, there's a 15 wood that I have down. It's like a 36-degree wood. It's in my basement. It crank makes.
Holy
It's like a
shnikes.
15 wood. Oh, dude. Yeah, but as far as cogs go, the simplicity of the cog, Titleist has a good cog. TaylorMade's is a good FCT. It's a sleeve, but it has its limitations. Ping's kind of in the same boat. They're both good. but to me, as far as like fitting is concerned, like I think for the consumer and even at a tour level, you get more noticeable looks with the Callaway cog. Like if you put it in upright, it's upright. Like it's like hitting you in the forehead. Like if you have a flat cog, it appears it runs away from you. It looks flat.
Yeah.
They really they nailed that. I haven't quite figured out their new fairway cog yet. To be honest with you, it's still really confusing to me. It's a lot.
So, okay,
But
hold on. Quick, quick
but you
story
ask
of
the
the
reps
week.
though, you
Yeah,
ask the reps, they like it because it's like, "No, I can play with Langle this way, and but you can't do one thing without doing it." But with a fairway wood, the explanation that I had is because with a fairway wood, there's some places that you don't wanna go, don't need to go, to make it do what it at a tour level, to make it do what you need it to do. It started as a hybrid cog, so they started putting them in the hybrids because we had them on tour,
yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah.
players loved them because you could go flat.
Yeah. So
And I'm assuming they're the
at the
same.
Callaway shoot,
Yeah.
good.
Oh, it
Good.
just at a tour level, even for the guys that are upright, they either want fairway woods to be really upright, which is becoming a trend, or they want them really flat. No one's in the middle on a fairway wood that I've seen. Everybody's up or down.
Huh,
Go
interesting.
ahead.
Yeah, I so we're at the Callaway shoot, and I'm hitting something with Sean Walsh, and that something has the new fairway wood adapter, and we're sitting there, and us two chuckleheads are like trying to put this fairway shaft onto the thing, and we can't do it. Like it won't line up. Like it's giving us the concave, and the head is the concave, so it won't go together. And we're sitting there like, okay, we're idiots. Like we're dumb, clearly. Johnny Thompson happens to come over, like driving by to go shoot something else at a different place. We're like, Johnny, for the love of God, stop. Like, please help us. He comes over and he explains the cog really well, actually. So if anybody has a fair, actually, I have one right here. Hold on. Okay. So on the fairwood cog, basically blank means nothing. And then you have plus minus. There is a standard line like the normal Callaway. So like the loft marking has a line by it, and that is your standard insertion point. If you just blanket, nothing is happening. So right now, this is set at standard, no changes. The loft is set at plus minus, or the Y is set at plus minus. But then you can move these around, and the only thing that was messing me up is you can't plus minus the loft plus minus the lie, which is how I thought you put it in neutral, and that's just completely wrong. So for anybody out there wondering, you can use a plus or a minus on both of them at the same time with a blank spot on both of them, or you can use a combination of two on either one at the same time, but you can't do it on both of them. So, lesson learned. It's a little confusing, but once you realize that the blank space means nothing, then things actually make sense. That's my tip of the day for
Yeah, and
people is if you're
it took a
using new
while for
Callaway fairway.
it takes a while for all the cogs to come into like familiarity. Like I remember the Titleist
Yeah.
cog when they first came out with it. People were like, "How do you like?" And now everybody just knows B1's this, and you just kind of
Yeah.
the one that's still
I
confusing to
still
me,
don't
and
like it.
you know it pretty well is the Cobra one. Is like, holy shit! Like I don't
It's
even.
on the cog. Like that's it's I mean it's
No, I
listed. Like
know, but I'm a chucklehead,
it
so it's like I
I
just
know,
wanted
but
to
like the
do the
Titleist
thing.
one, you gotta I have to look up the Titleist chart because they don't it's not on the thing. Like the Cobra, like I don't have to look up the chart. I just use the thing. Where
I
the
know, but I
Titleist,
don't
like
want
I
to like.
have to look up the chart.
I just want the club to do the thing. Like I want to go do it and have it go, like I don't want to look at this chart
Yeah.
and go, okay, like my
It's
moon's in
like
Uranus.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go over here. Like I'm not trying to do all that.
Yeah, it's like you poking the quad. Do the thing.
Do the
Do the
thing. Do the
numbers.
thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
All
I
right.
need to give I need to give Optim another. I haven't had enough time with Optim. Just I'm gonna close the show with this. There's a couple of pieces that I haven't had enough time with. I gotta revisit the Optim stuff like in
I
earnest.
agree.
I
I
haven't
agree.
like.
I'm bringing it with me to Scottsdale because of what results I had the other day. Like, because if I put the Titan, because I have to go play golf on Friday for my like first official time, and that has to be filmed, which I'm realizing now is probably a mistake. Um, but if I put the Titan in the Callaway and it doesn't do what it did in the Optum, I'm gonna play the Optum X for that first round with that Titan. Like that's where my head's at. So big things, big things.
Just to end the show, the fact that I have a woman that loves me after this, what I do for a living, it was the most unsexy conversation you'll ever have. I put the Titan in the Optum and I have the cog of the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't
Ah,
have one,
God
so
Almighty.
if that says anything.
How did I ever like? Yeah, how does like then this girl must be blind. Anyway, I don't know what we did today. Jay, I like what did we talk about? It was fun. I had a good time. Now we're an
We
hour
talked
and
about
9
good
minutes.
things.
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
some
we got good
stuff.
nuggets. We're good. Yeah, we're good.
Do you know what's funny in the
All nuggets,
comments?
man.
Whenever we have shows where we just run off into the fucking abyss, people are like, "Oh, dude, I love it." And I'm like, "Really? We didn't.
Yeah, they're the best.
We had no
Yeah.
no idea what we are gonna talk about."
People
Um,
just want to know what us idiots think about things.
I wonder if
We
it's
educate
any of this
on
is
our
actually
social channels.
what's that?
We educate on our social channels every day, not on the podcast.
Not like you. I don't educate like you do. Like
The
your
podcast is
stuff's
for thoughts.
yours is actually education. Mine is like, here, this guy. This is what he did.
Hey guys, Johnny Wunder.
What do I say? I always say, all right, we're here. I always go,
Yeah, all
okay,
right, we're
we're
here.
here. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Uh,
Yeah,
anyway, so you're on a
whatever.
flight tomorrow?
3:26. Yeah, tomorrow. I landed today at noon. I'm out tomorrow at 6
AM.
p.m. I
Oh,
got a good
PM.
one this
Okay.
time.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
p.m.
that was some
I might
terrible.
crash your PXG fin.
It's gonna be fun. You
It might
should crash
happen.
the Jake
I might
Knapp
crash
thing. The
your fin.
Jake Knapp thing's gonna be wild. Like we're gonna have
Well, I'm
Jake Knapp
filming when you're
hitting like
filming the Jake Knapp thing.
oh you are. We're gonna have Jake Knapp hitting like
Yeah.
like Gen 8 XPs and stuff. Like it's gonna be
Hell
wild.
yeah.
It's gonna
Have
be
him hit one of
wild.
the X's and just see how far it can go.
They're building up everything in line, like 7 woods,
Heck
9
yeah.
woods. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
gonna be
fun.
real. It's gonna be fun.
That's a blast.
I should throw the Callaway ball in there, like just sneak one in there to see. Like all of a sudden he gets like 5. He's like 209. It's like what? What's that ball?
Well,
Can you imagine? That'd be
then
something.
you'll be the next person that Bob Parsons hurts.
Oh God. One of these days, before it's all over, I'm gonna tell that story on this podcast. We're not far. We're too far. We're too close to it still. It's just the greatest.
We need to get at least a year past it.
We gotta get your pass. I will say this. I
Yeah.
have never seen anybody handle a tough situation better than Jake Morrow did in that situation. There was
Oh,
no winning. There was no victory. And somehow he managed to come out of that with a little bit of grace and a little bit of dignity. And I like you
yeah.
went from like a kid to like, oh, this guy, he's kind of a man here. This is kind of nice. Anyway,
All
that's
right, let's
episode
wrap it up here.
326. That's Jake. I'm Johnny. We're on planes tomorrow, so pray for us that we get there safely. But thanks for
Yeah.
keeping us company this week, and we'll be back next week
Masters
with
preview
more.
next week?
I'll be doing it from Augusta. I'll be doing it from the media center in Augusta.
Masters preview next week. All right. Let's do it.
Masters isn't a big equipment week, though. Let's be honest. No one's like if you're looking for if you're in the trucks hunting on at Augusta,
Justin
you should
Rose for the
probably
win.
you should probably think about. You think so?
Yeah.
Is that your
Yep,
pick? You
I
gonna
do.
pick it now? No.
Yeah.
Johan
Yeah.
Rambo.
Scotty misses the
Johan
cut.
Rambo.
Can we just real quick, by the way, I want credit for something because everybody made fun of me. Everybody made fun of me. I
What?
said when Scotty was going through his, like, not really being a good golfer anymore for like that month and a half, I told everybody that Meredith was pregnant. Told everybody. And then the
Look at
story
you.
came out last week. And I was like, haha.
Can you
Everybody
imagine
made
if
fun
he's
of me.
like can you imagine if like he's that guy that
Oh.
like life gets substantially better when he has a kid? Like all of a sudden he has like Kal-El,
Well, it did when he
like
had Bennett.
his son. Huh?
Yeah. Like when he had Bennett, that's when he started going on a tear. Bennett's seen his dad win 2 majors and 4 other tournaments.
All Bennett knows is success. Anyway, that's episode 326 of of this podcast, Fully Equipped podcast. We'll be back next week from the Masters. John Rahm's going to win the Masters. Mark my words.
Justin Rose.
It's not going to be Justin Rose. Adios.
Are you going to do it?